And we're live.
Good evening, everybody. We are raging with Kevin Steward tonight, and we're going to be talking about Killer Aid. What? What kind of craziness is that? We are on episode 72 of Raging With, and we are simulcasting to Geek Insider as well as Raging AVC. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. If you're watching from Twitter, thank you. If you want to interact with our guests, make sure you get over to YouTube. Hey, that's how that works. We'll be right back after this intro. Again, we're Raging With Kevin Steward. Killer Aid.
Raging.
Good evening, everybody. We are Raging With Kevin Steward. Let me drop the card here so that we can say hello.
Hey,
How are you, Kevin?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, you are brand new to our hot seat here, and we love talking about the creative journey. Having been kind of studying and working through my own comics in the last 2 years, I'd say it was probably one of the most insane things I've ever done. One of the hardest things I've ever done. And you are, not only doing comics and stuff, but you're doing cards, you're doing pins. What kind of insanity is that? What possessed you?
I'm trying to find something to get some traction. I started doing comics back in 2010, and I never had really done a comic before. And I got hit up by a guy I work with. He had a story which fell into what I love, which is horror stuff. So he had a zombie comic that he kind of asked me to draw. I drew it. I was like, this is great. I can do this. And I kind of jumped over from that book to another publisher, and I worked on two other books with them, more of the horror zombie, and then we got into a psychological thriller kind of book. So I did that graphic novel, and ever since then, I've just kind of been wandering around trying to figure out what I want to do, in this comic space. Like you said, comics are hard to draw.
They really are.
So I kind of saw what was going on with some people on Twitter, and they were starting to really push self-publishing. The indie market started kind of taking off with, like, I don't know. I was kind of watching the Comicsgate thing, like Ethan Van Sciver and Richard and Doug Tenaple, and it was 2018, and they just started making tons of money on their books. And I was like, I've got to get a story. I may not make anything near what they're making, but I want to get a book done. So I sat down, wrote out this long story, ended up sending it off to a guy who scripted it for me, and I got a 100-page graphic novel ready to draw. Now, it was 2008. Yeah, it was 2018, so I've only got like the first issue drawn right now. That's how long it's taken me to do it. So I've kind of got ADD when it comes to things, and I make T-shirt designs. I make the cards and a lot of horror pop culture mashup stuff. And I designed these pins. Well, they weren't pins. They were actually just T-shirt graphics I designed back around 2018. I was up north working in the oil fields, and I had tons of time on my hands to work on stuff. So I started just kind of mashing things out, combining the Kool-Aid Man with horror icons. And it kind of worked. And I was like, I like this idea. So I started throwing them on shirts, and I didn't think anything else about it. And they didn't do anything. No one bought them. So I was like, well, this is a great idea, but it's not really catching anything. So it was like 2019. This guy, a buddy of mine, well, I wouldn't say buddy, this guy hit me up and wanted me to design a pin for him. And it was a pin off of the Brain Dead, Dead Alive, Peter Jackson horror movie. So I designed that pin, and I was thinking, well, maybe I could take these Kool-Aid guys and do something with them and make a pin. And that's kind of what I did. And it worked out. And all of a sudden, like it started taking off. So I did all these 4 pens. They were really successful. A lot of people liked them, and then I was like, I've got to do a second series, and that's kind of where I'm at now. So I'm just I kind of touch everything to try to figure out what works best for me, and I like to work on things that I'm passionate about. It's hard for me to work on things that I don't have an attachment to. So I just I'm weird. I like just weird stuff, like really odds and ends kind of thing that no one else may pick up on, like T-shirts for MSTK3, MST3K. They'll probably never sell, but I like them, so I make them.
I would totally dig that.
Well, so let's talk about young Kevin, okay? Because I know
Oh.
for me, I started off as, like I was very much into music. I wanted to sing and stuff like that. And, my parents are like, what are we going to do with this child? I don't know what to, like, who are you and where did you come from? And so I think they didn't know what to do with me. Did you kind of have that same experience where they were like, okay, that's great. You like to do art, but how are you going to pay the bills?
That seems to be the conversation. Like, what are you going to do? Drawing's for fun, but how are you going to make money off of it? That's a good question. It's hard. It's really hard. I can't say I make money off what I do now, but I'm 42 and I'm still messing around with this. I got kids. I got a wife, and I'm sure she's looking at me like, this guy, what is he doing?
Well, I'll be 50 and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So,
oh,
so you've got a ways to go. Okay. It's good. It's all good. As long as you're pursuing the things that kind of give you joy,
it keeps me sane. If I can do, I can't see myself doing anything other than art in some form or fashion. I may die dirt poor, but if I've got a body of work that I'm proud of, that's all I care about,
So now tell me something. You said something about a graphic novel that was about 100 pages.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So that was coming out of the gate?
Well, that's actually my book that I'm working on. Like I've said, I've still got the script, and I wanted to tackle it at 100 pages. And I thought about it. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do 100 pages and get it done. So I broke it down into chapters. So I'm almost done with issue 1, fully drawn. And it's like I said, it's fully scripted, so it's just a matter of putting the words in. But so issue 1, once I get that done, I'll probably crowdfund that and then try to work on getting the second issue done. I want to make sure I've got something done before I try to crowdfund it, because I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, so to speak.
That is a mistake that so many people do. But when it comes to like 100 pages, and you're the artist for it, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And the writer and the letterer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I know this feeling. Do you ever look at it and go, oh my God, what have I done? Sometimes it feels like too big. And Nita and I kind of joke around also, because we have these big giant goals, and I'm like, that's like the big elephant, and you're hungry and you're like, I'm going to devour that entire thing. But how? Sometimes it just feels too big. So how do you kind of chop that down? You were saying chapters.
Yeah. I had to break it down. And I think for me, it was putting in manageable portions. I can't say I've worked on it recently, because I almost find myself doing other things than working on it, like I shouldn't be.
Oh, I'd rather clean my house than do
design horror pins and try to work on those. I feel just the accomplishment of getting something done. So for me, I kind of go through waves of like, I get really motivated to work on it, and I'll crank on like 5 or 6 pages and get those knocked out. I'm like 5 pages from being done. I need to just get it done and be done with it. It's weird. I get the strokes of motivation. Like for the pins, when I started to do series 2, I knocked all 5 of those pins out in like 3 weeks. Just cranked them out, colored them, ready to go. And I was excited about getting that campaign going. So it's just weird. I think, like I said, I have ADD, and it just depends on what I get attached to and what I can focus in on,
I know, and those last 5 pages are going to be the worst. It's like, I don't want. It's like getting your kids to do homework.
Yeah, and there's such a span of work, because I've got pages from 2018 when I started working on it to now, so the work is even different. It's like how it was when I worked on my graphic novel before. That was 72 pages, and it took me a couple years. Okay, that's a little long to do a graphic novel, but I was working full time. I have a family, and I was going to college part time, which that took me 10 years to do, but I got it done. But I had a lot going, plus doing conventions. But I got it done. The thing for me is, at least I got it done.
Yeah.
I would have felt horrible if I didn't have it finished.
Well, so tell me about that then. There are things that I've written that have been sitting in a drawer or a file for like 10 years, and you go back and you're like, oh, this is shit. It's all
Mm.
shit.
Mhm.
And then some of it's like, oh, it's okay. It's passable. Um, when you've written something like that and you've kind of put it in the drawer and you bring it back out, are you tempted to go back and re-edit, redo? Or are you of the mindset of like, it'll never get done if I do that. I just need to keep pushing forward.
I used to be like that. And the publisher I worked with before on that graphic novel, he kind of gave me the advice. It's like, look, you're as good as you are at the time you did those pages. You're going to be better on the next pages. It would actually hurt you to go back and try to redo that stuff to try to bring it up to speed. And I've kind of gotten used to that, and I've accepted the fact that I want to show that work as it is, as the flaws and the just where I was at that time. And the new stuff I've got shows the advancement in my skills. But I think that kind of works for art. Now for the story aspect of it, I don't think that's a bad idea to go back and re-edit, because I think, like most writers, I'm not a writer, but I do hear most writers say that take that first draft, put it aside, and come back to it later, and you've got fresh eyes, fresh ideas, and you can change things, and it's perfectly fine to re-edit that. I think that's a good approach. That helps you refine that work even more. But for art, I think it's a good idea to just keep going, let it be as it is, unless it's really bad, unless you can fix it, and it's something really bad. I'd say just leave it. I like to leave it.
I like the idea of, especially for artists, to see that progression of work, because as you've been doing it, of course, you get faster, you find your own style and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Have you ever had that eureka moment where you're like, I've finally fallen into this style that is uniquely me?
Yeah, and I think it took a long time to get there. And I never really focused on the style. It was like I always drew like artists that I liked, and I learned early on to try to take aspects from things like David Finch and Jim Lee. They draw differently, but there's things about them that I like, and I try to pull in that art style, or at least figure out a way to work for me. And it's kind of developed my own style, and I'm kind of happy with it. I never really thought about it; just kind of worked its way into my art style. Just kind of developed on its own over time, and I think that comes from practicing, working on your flaws, and your style is naturally going to come out of your own ability. I don't think you can force it. I think if you force it, it looks fake, because
Hmm.
there's so many people who ape other people's styles, and you can tell it's like it almost looks like it, but it ain't.
Right, right.
And
Like, you
I
don't
never
want to be
want
the
to.
next generation of, Lee's work and
Mhm.
be like, oh, well, what have you done?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so to emulate somebody and then eventually kind of branch off into your own. We've seen it with an artist, Daphne Lage, for example, where she kind of has her own style, and then it kind of mutated into something else, and now that she's got that confidence, it's coming kind of full circle,
Mhm.
but with her own flair. And it's really cool to see other artists who are saying, this is me, and then when you see their art, it's easily recognizable for being Kevin Stewart's work, not somebody else's.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. So if you've had that moment, was it kind of a quiet moment, or were you just like jumping around going, oh my gosh, I feel like this is truly my work now?
If it was when I got done with the piece, when I'm happy with the piece, I felt like, okay, this is who I am. I don't have to try so hard at what I'm doing. It naturally comes to me, and it feels good. It makes drawing pleasurable than it is before, where you're struggling to get things done. It's like, I want this to look good. It just kind of happens. When it happened, I think looking back at my old work, I see leaps and bounds of changes of things where I've learned how to put shadow in certain places where I see someone else do it. I'm like, okay, I see how they're folding that fabric over the arm. Maybe I should put a drop shadow under that fabric, and that starts working for me. And I add it into what I do. Now I just automatically do it. I've got a long ways to go. There's a lot of things I still want to try to work on to make my figures feel like depth, and that's something I struggle with. But where I'm at right now, I feel comfortable in what I do, and I'll look at a piece of artwork. I'm like, that feels good. I'm happy with that. Maybe 6 months I might come back and be like, oh, that was horrible, but hopefully 6 months from now I'll be better than I was before.
Oh yeah, I've always told Nita, stay uncomfortable. We have to stay uncomfortable because that's my dog. I don't know what the heck is going on here, but yeah, live streaming. Yay. Hold on a second. Nita, take over for a minute. You're on mute and my dog's talking. All right, never mind. We'll talk through the dog. In fact, we might even take an early break here while I go strangle her. Hold on a second. We'll be right back.
It's good. It's good to have an audience.
Here we go.
It's Monty Moore. I'm a 30-year comics veteran in comics, games, and movies, and you've been watching one of my absolute favorite podcasts, Catch the Craze.
You are watching Catch the Craze.
What am I listening to?
And you're listening to Catch the Craze.
Where are all the indies at? A Catch the Craze podcast. What are you watching?
I'm watching Catch the Craze.
What are you going to do?
Subscribe now to Catch the Craze, the #1 show online for independent.
Have you subscribed to?
You are an independent. Catch the Craze. Making moves on your own. Catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets. Catch the Craze. Join the movement. Catch the Craze.
We are not Catch the Craze. We are Raging with Kevin Steward this evening, and we're going to be talking about the Killer Aid series, but right now we're talking about the creative journey. Kevin, tell me about the writing process for you.
Okay, well, being that I'm not really a writer, I try to approach it is the whole, like, the big pie. So I had an idea for a character, and I kind of just wrote out a giant synopsis of what I wanted to do, and kind of try to follow some type of format, like the beginning, the middle, and the end. And my biggest problem with that setup was I didn't really know how to script it. Like, I didn't know how to break it down to
scripting. Yes.
Yeah. So I had the story, I had the general concept, and I actually had a buddy of mine sit down. We kind of outlined the whole story to try to make it somewhat segmented. And it kind of worked out pretty good. And I got all the parts in it that I thought were interesting. I try to really flesh out the characters, and we'll see how it goes when I get done with it. But yeah, the scripting part was where I was stuck at. So I had to send it off to a buddy of mine who took it, and he actually did a wonderful job of just scripting out the entire 100 pages of the graphic novel, page layouts. Yeah, it was great. And then I kind of can work from like the Marvel method. If you give me a general idea for a page, I can kind of panel it out in my head and kind of make it work. So that's kind of what it did for me, and it so far it's been working. So far it's been working pretty good.
Because I'm a prose writer. And so when I started off with prose and then I started scripting, my first question was, well, how do you write a comic book script?
Yeah.
Because I've seen movie scripts, I've seen, stage scripts and things like that. And it was like, okay, comic book scripts. It is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And, so the standard answer was, it's however you communicate with your artist. I'm like, that's not helpful. That's not helpful at all.
Artists are visual people. It's hard for some people to interpret things differently. And I've had the luxury of working with a fully scripted comic that gives me number of panels. Like, I want 6 panels on this page. Each panel was broken down to what he wanted in the panels. I love those because I like to have the constraint on the page. So you tell me what you want, I can work within that parameter. That way I'm more accurate, hopefully, in the end result. And I'm working on a book right now. It's kind of like a supernatural book, but he sent me the script, and it was basically like 4 paragraphs of just, it's like a story. So I was like, okay, this is going to be different. So I was able to take that, and I felt like I nailed what he wanted, and I took it and made a 1 page out of it. Hopefully it's got everything, and so far he likes it. So I've worked with different formats, straight direct panel layout, I've had direct, like really strict layouts from writers who like, I want this to be exactly like this. This is my vision. Those tend to be a little more difficult because there's too much back and forth. I feel like, the part of being an artist is you have to trust me to be able to design your vision the way I see it, or at least
Right. Have a little bit
know.
of creative license.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you start off as kind of like a pinup cover artist, or did you just dive right into sequential art?
Oh, I never plan anything. I fell face first into doing comic book. I don't think I had a completed piece of artwork probably my entire life until I was like 20s. When I first did this comic book, it was from this guy in 2010. He gave me a script. I had never drawn a complete piece. I always kind of sketched and farted around and didn't really commit to anything. And here I was with this like 16 or 24 page book that I've never ever done sequential artwork before. I had no idea what I was doing, and you can tell, but it's good artwork. It's decent artwork, but yeah, I just fall into stuff. I don't make any plans. I'm surprised I can make it work.
How did you land the job?
He liked my sketches, and he was just a indie guy. He's like, I want you to draw my book for me. I was like, sure, why not? We'll do it.
I love working with indies because they I don't think they have the constraints that a lot of the mainstream do. Whereas if you have a voice, if you have a story, you can go out there and do it, and screw what anybody else thinks. It's like it or lump it,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have that creative license and stuff. So, being that you love horror, what were your influences as far as either feature film or books or other comics that kind of influenced you and kind of brought you into this genre?
I grew up on the extreme 90s comic books, the Liefelds, the McFarlanes, the early 90s. I was old enough to, go to the comic book store and buy those. So that got me wanting to draw all the horrible art of the 90s. It's probably the worst teachers ever, you could have, but at least the enthusiasm was there. But I've always been drawn to the indie comic books. I would go to the comic book stores and I would go to the back issue boxes and I would dig through them for all the black and white comics that people drew. It was something about the individual artists and just the sometimes crappy artwork, but it was just cool to have. It's like, look, I can make this kind of book. This is in my realm. I could do this. So that then mixed, growing up in the 80s, all the horror movies. I've been a horror movie fan since I was a kid. So like that automatically brought me into doing horror artwork. I love it. To this day, that's my passion, is just drawing horror artwork pretty much.
What is the genre that you would least likely ever do?
Oh, romance.
No bodice rippers. Come on.
I think I would probably like the Archie comic books.
Mm-hmm.
I never could get into them. It's just, and I like cartoons. I like cartooning, but just something about that I couldn't. It would wear me out. Now, on the same token, like I love the Stray Bullets. If you ever run across David Lapham's books, Stray Bullets are a great series, but they're very plain, strong black and whites. But it's not flashy. It's not 90s, Jim Lee kind of artwork. But I love his artwork. I love that style. But yeah, probably romance comics I couldn't do.
So, so from comics to pins, what was like the transition into that?
Well, I think I just found I was finding a way to take the artwork that I was creating and putting it in a format that people would like. I think it kind of worked better for the pins. And I just kind of got stuck into it. I saw someone else take the Kool-Aid Man and convert him into like a Halloween type character. It was okay. It was good. It's really beautiful artwork. But I was thinking, can I not take this guy and really mash him into my, like, how I do a lot of detail work. So I was like, what if I could bring in the 80s horror icons? I love Leatherface. I love Texas Chainsaw. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. Can I bring him in and mash them together and see what comes out? And it worked. It came out. And I was like, well, I got to stick with it.
Well, we're going to definitely take a look at your Indiegogo campaign after our second break. Nita. But I definitely see an influence of things that I grew up with, like the Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh, yes. Oh, let me tell you a story about the Garbage Pail Kids. All right.
Yes.
As a kid, my best friend down the road, his older brother, he had every single series of the Garbage Pail Kids from the very first to the very last.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
And then he sold them like 8 years ago. And I didn't know about it. If I told him, I was like, if you had told me you would have had these cards, I would have wrote a check for whatever you wanted for them. I would have bought every single one of them. Those cards were the best thing ever. That and the little muscle figurines you would get at the grocery store in the little garbage cans. Oh my God. That stuff was the best.
It was the best. And, for me being, like a young female, and my parents were like, that's offensive. That's gross. That's disgusting. I'm like, that's the point.
That's the best.
Oh man,
yeah.
I wish I held on to those.
Oh, me too.
But it's just like one of those things where you said it earlier. It's like, you're kind of embracing your weird.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that makes us unique, is that, we kind of have those little things that make us unique and weird. And I always say, embrace it. Don't be afraid of being, like ridiculous or make a mistake and things like that. You just kind of pick yourself up and roll with it, And I think people appreciate that, because I think when you take the kind of creepy and the kooky and all of the other strange stuff, people can relate to that more. I think it's more honest. What do you think?
Oh yeah. I think that's the great thing about being an artist, is we're able to tap into those weird things and bring them to life where other people can't. I mean, musicians can play and create music, but artists are visual, and we create things that people see, and the weirder the better in some instances. And you're able to take in that. You've got to be crazy to be an artist. I mean, if you're straight laced, bored, whatever, you're going to be boring. Boring, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I say just embrace it, dare to be weird and stuff like that. I mean, you might get pushback and stuff like that, but don't apologize for being weird either.
That's right.
But don't be found with bodies in the freezer either.
Still breaking laws,
Right.
Yeah. Don't wind up on 2020.
Right, exactly. I don't have time for jail. That's why I write fiction. And I tell my handler all the time, it's research.
Yeah. For future reference, this is all research. There's nothing plots, nothing here is actually going to happen.
That's great. Let me see here. We've got somebody in our chat saying, Facebook user, declare yourself. Get over to YouTube and chat with us so we know who you are. And this is what you look like. The weird people run the world. Indeed they do. So Killer Aid series, Horror Returns. Now, of course, I'm seeing a lot of, I see the Kool-Aid guy. I see a few characters that I recognize. Do you ever worry that the big guys might come after you?
Well, this kind of falls in the creative license of fair use, because it's a mashup of the Kool-Aid and these other characters. So they're actually technically don't exist anywhere. I think I'm skirting a gray line.
You've changed them enough so that they are uniquely yours.
Yes, there is no Kool-Aid Man Freddy Krueger.
Right.
I hope not, anyways.
So, I mean, that's a fine line, though, because a lot of people are like a creative license. It's like, do you ever get pushback with things like that? Or do you find that people kind of just embrace it?
Yeah, the horror pin group that I just got into recently in the past year, it's a very, very close-knit group, and they're very cool about that stuff. I mean, if you go over there and look, I don't think any of them are technically, but people just, they get them made and they buy them. So they're just kind of, it's a very small niche area. I don't get any pushback though. I mean, then again, I'm not big enough. Maybe if I was big enough, they might come out, they might say something. Now I will say this: I will not do any Walt Disney artwork at all.
No, they'll have your ass in a second.
Yeah, I'll be in back of a black van heading down somewhere with a bag on my head.
Yeah, don't mess with them. Don't mess with them at all. In fact, a co-host of another show, did I think like 10 seconds of I think Snow White, and they gave him a cease and desist. It was like,
Oh God.
whoa, that right, I mean, even before the show ended, and he was like, okay, whoa.
So he was on your show?
And not this show. It was
Oh.
another show, but yeah.
Holy cow. Yeah, I don't touch any Walt Disney stuff.
Yeah, that would be insane to do. But I mean, this looks like a lot of fun. And we are going to take another quick break here because we're at the 30-minute mark. And we will be right back. Hey, you guys, we are raging with Kevin Steward. He has got an active Indiegogo right now. It is Killer Aid Series 1 and 2. Got some pins over there. Really cool stuff. If you are watching the show, check out the show notes. The link is in the show notes as well as his social media. Make sure that you follow him everywhere. Just don't peek in his windows. That's weird. However, he does a little bit of horror, so I don't know. He might write you in somewhere. We'll be right back after this.
This is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
Indeed. Head over to The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, as well as Catch the Craze. Give them a little bit of love. Subscribe. And while you're subscribing, hit the button for RAGIN, AVC, as well as Geek Insider. We are simulcasting to both. We are very happy to be raging with Kevin Steward right now. And let me drop the card and welcome back. Welcome back. Let me see here. Nita has left me for some reason. Why? Why have you done that? Well, you know what we're going to do is I'd actually like to share your web page because you've got some art up there, and maybe you can kind of talk us through. These look like prints as well as other pins and things like that. And then we'll also bring up your campaign. Let me just bring that up here. So here we go. Because normally I like to ask, like where can we find your stuff? Like that you've been working on previously, as well as just inventory and stuff like that. So we're looking at this. View all products here. So how have the prints been doing?
Well, the prints I actually just got recently. I got those for an art show. I'm actually doing a one-man art gallery tomorrow.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, actually,
excuse me.
I'll be heading over there after the show to help finish them set up the rest of the stuff. But I bought these prints to take there. So I actually haven't sold any online yet. So that's going to be something coming down the road, probably. I'm going to probably give out some of those with the campaign. There's some people that are going to get some automatically because they've been a long time fan and they've supported me a whole bunch. So it's more like a giveaway for some people.
And I see a bunch of T-shirts here too. You were talking about that before. I know Nita is a T-shirt fanatic.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Tales of Terror, iPhone cases and things like that, masks and stuff. So now with the world kind of sort of opening, we're kind of getting back to normal and things like that. What does your schedule look like for the next year or so?
Wow. I've not actually been to any conventions for 5 years.
Wow.
3 years I was up at the oil fields working, so I really couldn't do any conventions. I just now getting back last year and being in the whole pandemic situation, that just shut everything down, of course. So I'm wanting to get fired back up again this year and maybe later in the year to do some conventions. I'm kind of worried about the attendance. I don't know if they're really fired back up to full attendance capacity yet.
Well, I don't know. Nita and I were at MegaCon Orlando, and it was a pretty decent crowd.
Okay.
Is your mic working?
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, woo, what?
Oh, she's back. She's back. Yeah, no, it was actually pretty decent, and the feedback that we've gotten from people who have attended recently say that it's been a pretty good showing. I think people are really more than ready to go out and socialize again. We're social creatures,
Yeah.
Not me. I'm fine with social distancing.
Yeah, me too. I want a shirt that's like, when this is over, still stay 6 feet away from me. Like, just we're good.
Uh-huh.
I need to get out and do some shows. My biggest thing is like I need more products. I need more books. I need to have some more comics done. And the ones that I've done, they're out of print. Like I can't get any more of them, so I can't take those to shows. So it's just me like bringing prints and the pins. That's really all I got. So
Right.
I kind of want to get some more products before I actually start hitting the convention scene again.
One of the things that we love talking about also is how we keep organized. Like what type of schedule are you looking at? Obviously, you've got an Indiegogo coming, that's active right now.
Mhm.
You're working on your graphic novels and things like that. But when it comes to organizing, managing your, if you've got a job plus family plus the creative stuff that you're doing, kickstarting and all that stuff. It all takes time. It all takes planning. Do you put it up on the calendar or are you a total pantster?
Oh, I mean, I bought a dry erase board recently that I've got stuff that's talking about written on it that haven't even attached yet.
Yeah, I've got about 50 calendars and I've written
You collect
something.
calendars.
I do, and I don't know how to use them.
I
Well, I have
think
no concept of time either.
I try not to take on too much, I guess, more than I can. I'm horrible at organizing. If it wasn't for my wife, I mean, I wouldn't be able to make it throughout the day. But when it comes to the family balance, it's spending a lot of time after everybody goes to bed, trying to knock out some stuff in only a couple hours. I mean, I've got a day job that's not terrible, but it
But do you
It's-
sleep?
yeah. I usually get about 6 hours sleep.
Oh,
Well, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah. I'm old. I get tired. I just give up. I'm like, I'm going to bed. This is done. I'm done. I'm going to bed.
Oh no, I got you beat in the give up part. we can talk about that.
No, we
after the
can't.
show.
Oh, okay.
No, we won't do that right now. I
I
wouldn't
would
do that to
spook you
Kevin.
from your own show. I swear to God.
I think that's
we
part
don't
of
do
why I don't take on huge projects because I'm so
Mm-hmm.
bad at organizing that I don't want to take on more. I don't want to disappoint anybody. So
Well, because the thing is, with an active campaign doesn't mean that your creative life stops.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get on the circuit and push your product, push your campaign and things like that. I mean, it is really hard, because you can have the best products out there, but if nobody knows who you are or where to find you, you're not going to sell a thing. So it's really hard for people to market and share their own things, because they're like, oh, I'd rather be creating, so this has got to be, I mean, how have you been with this kind of like whole online getting on the press junket and promoting your stuff?
if you ask my agent, and I had to get an agent because I'm horrible. I'm the worst at marketing. I'm terrible. I'll be honest. I'm not great, but putting myself out there and asking, and getting off the idea that people are just going to come to me. I've got to reach out and network. And it was Philip that told me that, you need to push out this and get on the podcast. I was like, I need to reach out. And he helped me get in touch with a bunch of people. I think he got me in touch with y'all actually.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that, I mean, just, you got to put yourself out there, and you're right. I'd rather be creating. I'd rather have someone manage all this for me, but artists nowadays with the social media, it's kind of on your own. You've got to do it yourself. You got to do something or you're never going to get out there. And I think slowly I'm getting out here finally.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I have to say is that I appreciate artists and artists probably more than, I guess, prose writers, because prose writers, for whatever reason, will not get on camera for the most part.
I managed to book 3 for the next couple months, though.
Ooh,
I know, right? I'm
yeah,
like, "Holy
so
shit."
it's almost like not to stereotype the artists and stuff like that, but we appreciate you for getting out there and out of your comfort zone, for speaking about your art and the creative process and stuff like that, because it's not easy. It's like, oh, I got to get a camera. What? I got to get a mic. What?
Yeah. I don't mind. I mean, my personality is very outgoing. I'm not the normal artist type of personality. I'm not introverted. I'm extremely outgoing, and I can mingle with anybody. So I think I'm lazy. I think it's the biggest part of my problem is wanting to get on camera. Like, I want to do YouTube videos, but I'm like, oh God, I got to edit this now. I was like, oh,
Right.
that's 4 hours doing that. I got a computer that's over 10 years old. I'm surprised I'm streaming right now without
I'd rather
dropping.
mow the lawn.
You know what? So many times I have mowed the lawn while I'm mowing. I'm thinking I could work on my comic when I'm getting done with this. I could probably work on do these pages. I get back at the house. I'm laying on the couch watching TV. I'm like,
right, bag of Cheetos on your chest.
yep, yep.
Sounds like
bad.
me, I swear. We're going to pull up your campaign here in just a
Sure.
moment. Let me grab that. And here we go. The Killer Aid Series 1 and 2. Add that to the stream here. So you've got 33 days left, bringing 80s pop culture and horror icons together in beautifully designed enamel pins. You've got Series 1 and 2, 5 new pins. So there was something about cards that go with this. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the cards they're attached to, the card backings, are a big part of the art as well. So they're front and back. So the back of the card has a great, if you scroll on the bottom, you'll see it's got a really cool, like, the back of the Kool-Aid has instructions, ingredients, and stuff like that.
Yes.
I've taken that part of the movie or the mythos of the character and tied it into the back of the card. So you've got a cool little interactive piece with the card as well. People love it. They get it and like, oh, I didn't realize the back of the card had stuff on it. And they're like, oh, this is so cool. It goes with the pin. So great.
Yep. So I'm seeing the Freddy Krueger influence here with Cinnamon Scream, which is locked. You guys need to get over here and back this campaign and take a look at what he's got. So we see Series 1, we see Series 2. Have you already got Series 3 percolating?
I've got it in the head. I've got them already in my head, what I want to do. I've even got what I was going to do for this campaign. I haven't done it because I haven't committed to it yet because I want to see how it goes. But I have an idea to do a limited campaign only set of 3 pins. And this is how dorky I am, of the Trailer Park Boys.
Oh.
So I've already got one of them drawn. And I've got the other 2 in my head, how I want them to look. It's just a matter of doing it. So it's kind of seeing how far I get in the campaign. So if it doesn't work out and I don't fully get all the pins printed, of course I'm going to do them anyways down the road. So yeah, I've already got like Series 3 in my head. I've got people telling me, I want to see this card. I want this. So I can tell you what's going to be in there for sure to give you a sneak peek. Pennywise will be in the Series 3. I'm going to do a Pennywise.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes. So we're looking at the back of the card here where we can see total fear, soul destruction, total pain, and pleasure for us. Villainy, killeries, fun stuff. What was it like kind of designing the cards then? Like
I think that was the funnest part, trying to come up with this cheesy, cliche, funny kind of, stuff. It was great. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best part.
And here we go with the pins. So tell us a little bit more about the pins. You were saying something. Are they acrylic? Are they die cast?
Enamel.
Yeah, they're enamel, nickel-plated enamel, screen printed for all the details. Double clutch backs, the rubber clutches with the double clutches. They're about 2 inches. I mean,
just looking at this is a good size.
Yeah, it's actually quite big. I think the background on him kind of made him bigger because the Texas Chainsaw one, which is 2 inches, but it seems smaller.
Right. And the risks intelligence. So we're at the bottom here of the campaign. Definitely check this out because I love cards. I've always been more of a football card collector instead of a baseball card collector. I know that's weird. Embrace your weird. But putting this together, did you have like a notebook? Did you when you're trying to get these ideas, like maybe you have a character in your head, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to draw that and stuff like that. Does it all come together where you're like, okay, what are the pain points going to be? Have you thought about like gamifying this?
Like making it in a game?
Sort of, yeah.
I haven't, but I thought about making the garbage pail kid route. Maybe doing stickers. I was kind of tossing the idea around. I was looking into pricing for that. It's kind of expensive, but maybe down the road, turning these into collector cards. Because I think that would be good. Once I get a huge library of them, I'd definitely be worth, put them in that medium. I think it'd be good. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
Would be freaking awesome too.
Now,
love
and tell us
magnets.
a little bit about the sketch card here. Is it like a normal card size, or are you going
Yeah,
bigger?
yeah. It's so it's like a 2.5 by 3 inch. Like I used to do, I do sketch cards too. So I design these cards, and so basically, if you get, you can either get the card itself. I'll draw whatever horror character or whatever you like. If you want superheroes or whatever, it doesn't matter. But my little niche was, you give me a horror character, I'll make you a custom horror flavor. So I've done one recently. I did a Chucky one for Philip because he ordered the series 1. So he's got a Chucky Kool-Aid, character. So I thought it was kind of a cool idea to if I don't have a character in the series right now that you like, I can draw it for you. You get an original piece of art. It's colored, it's inked, and you put it along with your pins.
Bruh, dude, you got to do a fucking great Jim Jones, right?
Oh my God,
You so
Nita.
have to do that.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
so sick. What's wrong with you?
Oh, fuck off, man. That would be awesome.
Had the
That
big
would be
bouffante
fucking
hair,
epic.
the big
That's
black.
That's
slick
how
back.
you get the 6 figures, bro. Fucking Jim Jones, that shit.
Well, the title for the series was "Don't Drink the Kool-Aid,"
Even better.
because Killer Aid is actually falls up under. See, I'm going to do some ones that have heroes. I got ideas for Ghostbuster ones. I've got the trailer park ones are going to be like a Sunny V, Sunnyvale, Sunny V. So it's not just the Killer Aid; it's "Don't Drink the Kool-Aid" and all these other type of style pins.
Oh, nice.
That looks like a lot of fun. Oh my gosh. We've got people who are tuning in. Thank you, Sean Washington. We've got, hey, my brother from my real mother is tuning in. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And again, head over to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell when you want to know when we go live. And of course, we are talking with excuse me, Kevin Steward, who has got Killer Aid Series 1 and 2 on Indiegogo right now. He's got 33 days left of a flexible goal. We can get him over that. Come on, guys. Check it out. Let's take a look at some of these images here of the things that are part of the campaign. Really cool pins if you love collecting. The card backings and stuff like that have the information on the back. And yeah, I mean, it looks like a lot of fun. And, the fact that you're going to be continuing on with this series as well as more art and stuff like that, I'm kind of interested in knowing, like, as far as comics then, you were talking about your graphic novel, but you didn't drop a name. When can we start seeing things about that?
Yeah, it's actually it's called Apollo. He's it's kind of if you ever read the Invincible series, I like tragedy in comic books. I like characters that die. I like having a strong tie to a character, like they did with Game of Thrones. Like, you love this character, he gets killed. So I have that kind of tragedy in my book. It's like Superman. It's like I always love the Superman archetype, but I like it where they're more real. Like, they have something to lose and they can lose it. Is kind of where I'm at with it.
Oh, I love stories where it's all about the director of death. It's like, they come in and it's just like, okay, everybody on this side of the room, you die today.
Thanks for coming. You're going to die today.
Yeah. So do really well with that. Lots of fun. So when it comes to writing horror and things like that, being that you are kind of stepping into the writing realm as well, has there been any time where you kind of maybe scared yourself a little bit, go, whoa, where did that come from?
No, but I almost brought myself to tears one time on a story that I'm working on. It was so tragic, and I was thinking about it. I was like, man, this is really sad. I didn't write it yet. I had the big concept. I had the big idea in my head, and I was kind of walking through. I was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is to tell you more about that. It's about a boy and his dog. Is this other story that I'm working
those
on.
always make me cry.
Yeah. So it's on that vein, and the boy loses. He loses his mother, he loses his father, he loses his brother, and he's cast out. He's in a world that's like a fantasy realm. And he has this dog that is more than a dog. It's something else. But it's his journey with this dog throughout the story. And I've that's the big picture that I've got. I never really scared myself, but like I said, I've about pulled myself to tears thinking about the story in some aspects. The Apollo story's got some parts in it that are real sad. I think it has to do personally, some personal things I went through when I was younger, and I grew up. I never knew my father, never had a father figure outside of my immediate family and my grandfather and stuff. But there's parts I put in the story that have that kind of issue with it. Like there's loss between a father and a son that goes on for a long, long time. And, I don't want to give too much away on it, but I was kind of putting my aspects of my life in there in a way, in shades of gray, in the story.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it made it.
I think that's so important when it comes to writing, or even with art, no matter what artistic venue you're in, whether you're an artist, a dancer, a musician, a writer, and stuff like that. If you're not feeling it yourself, then there can be no expectation that somebody else will relate to you. So when we pour ourselves into these mediums that we do, we're really putting out quite a bit of our own vulnerability, I think. And I think that's important because there are only so many words. And so how we spin it and how we take from our own experiences is what makes that unique. And it's the same thing with lines. There are only so many lines, but like, how are you going to do that? How are you going to express yourself? And I think that's so important. When it comes to being influenced by others, who draws those deep feels from you?
I find myself pulled toward like David Finch. David Finch is probably one of my most influential artists. I love his stuff. I've learned so much from watching him draw, and he draws correctly. Like I said, I grew up in the '90s, so I was taught by it's one of the worst artists. That they're great, but they're not great for teaching. It's took me a long time to correct a lot of those issues. But yeah, David Finch is probably my main inspiration. I love what he does.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to writing, like you were mentioning the 100-page graphic novel and stuff like that. Do you have more stories in your head? Do you have a lot of voices that are like, write me, and you're like, no, I'm working on something else?
I've got an idea for a larger universe, and I've got these characters, but they haven't spoken to me yet. I haven't fleshed them out. I've got the visuals. I kind of see what they look like, and I've got a small part of their story, but I can't, for some reason, get to the meat of it. Like I'm focused so much on Apollo as the main character, trying to make him as strong as I can character wise. It may take me a little while to get the other ones brought in. They feel like more like supporting characters that I don't want too much attachment to, and I don't want to step too far out and get myself in the weeds on this because I'll never come back to the main story. But I've got a bigger universe. I just got to figure out how to make it work. I think once this book gets done and I see how it looks in the finished product and where it goes story-wise, that I can, go further with it.
That whole organizational thing is a real pain in the ass.
Oh my gosh, it is.
So when you're starting to put these things together and stuff, I mentioned the calendar before. You said something about your whiteboard. I'm like, no, seriously, what does 2022 look like for you when it comes to like output as far as creativity, maybe another campaign? Have you been doing the research as far as trying to get your butt to conventions or even small signings and things like that, getting your butt in stores?
Yeah, I've been looking around for some conventions that are close to me. I'm in Tennessee, so I'm in a pretty good spot for conventions. I think it really just comes down to me for the money aspect, having the money to pay for the tables and stuff. But my goals, and my big part of my goals getting done is getting an agent. Getting Philip to represent me has pushed me to start putting out more work, and it's on me to get it done. Like I've got to start cranking out more and more work. So I've been doing some anthologies. Like I did a Creep Show anthology last year. I'm on a Monster Squad anthology book that's coming out this year. So it's being that I've come back from the oil field and I'm back home, I have the ability to do a lot more stuff. I'm just trying to be more responsible with my time, balancing family, but then also putting in the work and, cutting back on sleep if I have to, getting stuff done. And Philip's been a big part of that. I really appreciate what he's done for me, getting me motivated to get things done. So my biggest thing is once these pens are done is getting my comic book done, getting that first issue done.
Yes. And so when it comes to getting motivated and stuff like that, are you the type that waits for like the New Year's resolution, or you're like, nope, going to do it right now?
Yeah. Since I've never kept a New Year's resolution, I've become
me neither.
Yeah,
They're useless.
I'm a realist in most of it. So I'm just like, you know what? There's no better time than now. And I will say that I tend to draw and perform better when I'm in a good mood, good motivational aspect. I can't really do anything when I'm sick or I feel depressed. But I tell you one thing, I'm always at my computer doing something. If it's working on a pen, if it's drawing a couple panels, if it's working on just a random piece of artwork, as long as I'm doing something, I feel like I'm not wasting my time. Like I had a big problem, and I'd say probably a lot of people do in my age range, playing games for years. I spent over 2 decades wasting my time playing video games. So now I've got an aversion to playing games to where it makes me like, I'm wasting my time.
Your eye-hand coordination's got to be impeccable.
And these thumbs, man.
Right?
Who can do that? Who can do that?
I will say I could, these are good thumbs, but I'm old. Like I said, I got cataracts and everything. I can't play these games. I can't. These kids are about to whip my tail.
When it comes to, like the creative process and stuff like that, do you ever run into like writer's block or artistic block?
Every time, every piece I do, I'm looking at a white screen. I'm thinking,
it's the
what
worst,
the hell
right?
am I going to do? Yeah, it is.
Blank piece of paper is the worst.
Yeah, and I tell you, I will say that switching over to digital has helped me 100% to be more creative. But it's still a blank screen that you're working with, and you're thinking, what am I going to put on this? What pixels can I put on here to make this work? And that's hard. That's real hard.
What do you think it is about the medium that makes it different for you, though?
For me specifically, is the flexibility. Is I can erase, I can throw new layers on, I can be more creative without having to worry about messing something up, and just I can be more free. It allows me to, I guess, to be able to correct myself when I mess up is faster, and it allows me to just be easier. I can just throw stuff on there quicker.
Mm-hmm. And we are just about at our hour. I'm going to put your campaign here up on the big screen for just a second here so people can take a look. All right, you guys, this is Killer Aid Series 1 and 2, bringing 80s pop culture and horror icons together in beautifully designed, I don't know, designed enamel pins. They're kind of creepy looking. If you love horror genre, you definitely want to check these out. We've got Cannibal Cherry Crush over here from Series 1, Strayberry / Bash. We've got Painfully Pleasurable Plum. Woohoo. And of course, Assimilatingly Arctic Blast, as well as a few others. Custom flavor sketch card illustration that you can get. Hey, Kevin. That looks kind of cheap for a sketch card. I would be totally all over that.
I was thinking the same thing.
My goodness, man.
Well, I was wanting to bring them in. I want them, I want them to say, I can afford that, and I'll get one. I love drawing sketch cards. So I'm also bad with money. Philip tells me that.
Oh my gosh, it's like a little bit of like, know your worth a little bit, and that's really hard to determine the price of things, isn't it?
It is. It's a soft spot with me. I have a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel $15 is good for a sketch card. I mean,
Oh, well, we might have to talk you up on that.
Well, what would you pay?
Money. Take my money.
I was trying to bring you out.
Yeah. I was going to say that's
and you're customizing them at least 25, man.
I would totally do that. Right?
I need y'all to manage my money for me.
Nita's the strong arm here. I'm the pushover. She's like, pay me. But, that's another thing that we deal with.
Yeah, I want the money.
Well, that's another thing that we deal with as creatives. It's because we are trying to put out our unique voices and stuff. and we bring out our weird, and there's a certain amount of vulnerability with that. It's like that whole imposter syndrome. It's like, do I belong here? Do I have the right to sit here and rub elbows with these other people that I've been watching for over the years? And it's like, yes, you do.
Yeah, I struggle with that immensely. I think it's because I got into it so late, and I don't have I don't have the exposure. People don't really know who I am, so I'm trying to figure out how to price things to where I don't want to feel like I'm ripping people off. It's weird to say that, but I don't know. It's weird. I don't want to overcharge, but I know there should be more value to what I do. So as it's going, my prices have gone up. Philip's been a huge help in increasing my prices. The starving artist is true. If it is me managing it, I'd be starving. I'd be on the streets.
And it's one of those struggles that a lot of indie creators deal with is to say, oh, well, have I suffered enough? Have I given enough of my work? Have I volunteered my skills enough? Right? Yeah, need a slit in her wrist, things like that. But it's true. It's like, at what point do you say when, and just say, okay, this is my shit or get off the pot moment. I'm done playing with you guys. I want to make a living, or at least, kind of offset some of the bills instead of throwing money at this thing all the time. Yeah. And so do you feel like you're kind of at that point where you're like, I'm going to make a go of this. I'm not going to quit my day job at the moment, but if what I'm doing right now kind of gets me into the green, it's a stepping stone to maybe spending more of your time there.
Yeah. I feel like I'm slowly making steps toward that. It is working. It's going in that direction. It seems like, and I think my biggest problem was just getting enough workout. A body of work has to be bigger for me, to be able to get to that level, I think. And you better get these prices now because they're going to be going up.
Yes, definitely, Kevin. You're worth it. And
I've got new accountants.
And on that note, we are past our hour, you guys. We appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Let me put the card up here. We have been raging with Kevin Steward. He's got Killer Aid right now on Indiegogo. The link is in our show notes. Make sure that you go check it out. If you've backed it already, thank you. If you haven't, hit the share button. It costs you nothing to be kind. Hit the button. And on that note, I have to do one more thing here. I've taken this job away from Nita. I don't know that she appreciates it. But Kevin, I need you to say one thing for us.
Yeah.
Throw my dudes.
Throw my dudes.
We're out of here, you guys. We appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure that you watch on the replay and hit the share button. Again, we are Raging with Kevin Steward, and we're out of here. Hey there. This is Meredith Loughran with RAGIN. And I wanted to let you know that we encourage and promote independent creators and their projects through organic interaction, consultations, and more. Visit Nita and me at RAGINAVC.com for details and contact information. Hit the button.